Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about installing the hitch and the bagger on an Ariens IKON 52. This bagger also fits the Ariens ONYX, the Gravely ZTX, and the Gravely ZTXL. So everything I talk about today is also for the other three mowers. So this is designed to fit on the different deck sizes, the 42, the 48, the 52, and I believe the 60 inch also. So let's get started.
Down in the dirt. Been real bad.
So first I want to give you a little review of the bagger before I go into the assembly of the hitch. Then once the hitch is installed, then we'll put the bagger together, get that installed, and then we'll talk about the counterweights that you have to install to compensate for the weight of the bagger. So first off, I want to say I've had a lot of baggers in the past and I've hated just about all of them. But the only bagger I actually liked over the years was the ones on the walker that are integrated into the mower itself. Specifically, the old Craftsman baggers for the tractors and the zero turns, the Husqvarna baggers, and also they were flimsy. Everything was made out of steel tube. The discharge chutes were way too small. They were always plugging up. The boot that goes on the deck would fall off. The brackets would break, and the bags would rot out after a couple years. I want to tell you, this Ariens bagger is not like those at all. Let's start up front here. The boot is really heavy plastic, PVC, I believe it's PVC. It's flexible, but very rugged. It's very thick. It comes pre-assembled. So there's some brackets on the front and a strap on the back. Those come pre-assembled onto the boot itself. Putting it on and off is very easy. All you have to do is lift up your discharge, slide it on. It fits right into the bracket for the discharge chute, and then reach around and put the strap on. There's a little bracket that's on the boot itself that holds the chute up. Makes it real nice and simple to install, and it seals up really nicely. It's designed to really work well on this. Remember that notch on the top of the deck that everybody talks about? This notch on the top of the deck allows the boot to be a lot narrower, but still give you a really good throw. In fact, this boot takes up less space than what the discharge deflector does. So it actually makes the machine a little bit narrower. If you watched my previous video, you saw how well that it throws grass out with the discharge chute up or with the discharge chute down. This thing really throws grass well. The blades that are on this deck do an excellent job of lifting, cutting, and getting rid of the material. Because those blades work so well, I don't think we're going to have any problems at all blowing normal, dry lawn clippings, leaves, trash, stuff like that out of the deck and up into the bagger. One of the reasons is the chute is really nice and smooth. It's got a good transition to get it headed towards the bagger, and this tube is 7 inches and it's smooth on the inside. So all the support for the tube, it's really heavy, really stiff. I'll give you a little better look when I open up the bagger in the back. So I think it's going to do a very good job of getting the grass out of the deck and up into the bagger. I can't show you that right yet. I'm still waiting for grass to grow. I did have some rain here in the last week, so things are starting to green up. So hopefully in the next 10 days or so, we'll be able to actually use this. It's been a really dry summer. Looking at the bagger itself, it's nice and low profile. In other words, you can turn around, you can see behind you. The bags are at a good height. They're not too high, not too low for emptying them, taking them off the machine and emptying them. This bagger has a new style door on it. It has a full piano hinge across the top, so it's not going to break over the years. Your air outlet is here, so it's away from you. The straps that hold the top on, you don't have to lift the whole top up like you used to on the baggers. Now it's just a door on the back. So all you have to do is release these two straps, and they're nice heavy duty straps. Lift it up, and there you go. These bags look small when you first walk up to it because they're shorter than what the old ones used to be. But if you look at them, they're a lot bigger in diameter inside, so they're really good sized bags. The bags themselves, this is a heavy, really heavy rod that the top piece is, and it's galvanized steel, so it's not going to rust. The bag itself is quite a bit heavier than what you're used to with your old residential mowers. And the bag itself, see if I can show you. The front of the bag is solid, so when you put it in there, all of the dust and debris that you normally get with a bag, it's all blown out to the back. That way you don't have so much dust around your neck all the time. Remember doing that? Be doing dry leaves in the fall, and you'd have as many leaves on you as you would in the bag because the bags are porous all the way around. A couple other things that I want to show you. This bagger has welded together. The main frame is a full channel, and the brackets are all welded to it, so nothing's going to rattle and fall apart. The bolts that you see there are for putting the mounts on the front. The top is pop riveted on with heavy duty pop rivets instead of using bolts. I kind of like that because it's going to hold up well. Here's the tube. You can adjust this tube by screwing it in and out here a little bit if you want to keep it as straight as possible or give it a nice curve. It blows it up all the way so that the whole bagger is going to fill up nicely for you. Putting this bagger together was not too much of a problem. As I said, once I do a little review here of the bagger, then we'll go into mounting the hitch and the other brackets that you need. So it did go together pretty fast for me, just working by myself. I had this all ready to go in about 45 minutes or so. You can buy this hitch separately for these mowers, or it comes with this bagger. So if you're thinking about buying the bagger and the hitch, just buy the bagger because the hitch comes with it. The hitch is nice and solid, and when I do the installation here in the next part of this video, you'll be able to see how strong it is. So you put the hitch on, and then there's two shoulder washers that go onto the bolts on the frame here, down in here by the engine. They're real easy to put on, and that's where the brackets mount to for the bagger. So to take this bagger on and off, all you have to do is take the bagger, lift it over, and put it on 2 shoulder washers, drop it down, and it automatically falls into the 2 other shoulder washers, and then go ahead and put a hand bolt through the hitch to the back mount. So there's only 3 mounts on this. It's all nice and solid. It doesn't wobble at all. I'm really impressed how solid it is once it's mounted up. Then install your tube, install your boot, and put your tube on the boot. So taking it on and off is less than a 5-minute job once we get through this first initial assembly. Ariens does recommend that you take the counterweight off the front when you're not using the bagger. There's 3 plates and 1 bolt that holds that on, so it'll probably take you just as long to go get the wrenches to do that as it does to put the whole bagger on. So, all right. Baggers are expensive nowadays, but I can see why this one is as expensive as it is. It's really built nice and solid. It's easy to put together, and it's really easy to take on and off the mower. If you buy one, I think you'll be quite happy with how it fits on the machine. We'll test it here in a week to 10 days. I'm just starting to get some rain now, so I'm going to have some grass clippings. We're still not quite to dropping leaves, but we'll do some more. We'll do some more when that comes. All right, before we get started, one more thing. I do have the power unit to make this a powered bagger here. I'll put that together later on in a separate video. If you're just going to do dry grass and leaves, I don't think you need the power bagger. But if you want to be able to do wet grass, be able to clip all the time, if you have a lot of leaves and you want to mulch them up really small, then the power unit is probably the way to go. But for most of us, I think this setup is going to be just fine, especially with the way this deck gets rid of grass. I think it's going to throw it up into the bagger very well. All right, so next step, let's install the hitch. So when you're installing the hitch, basically you're going to install the hitch underneath this shroud here. So the first thing we have to do is take this shroud off. And there's 6 hex screws and then 2 bolts that need to come out. And there's room to get in underneath here to loosen these 2 bolts. So I'm not going to waste your time by walking you through taking these out. Just take these 2 on each side, this one on the bottom, and then take this bolt out. Keep all those bolts and screws because you will need them when you put the machine back together again. And the 2 bolts here are 9/16 nuts. They're captive, so you don't need 2 wrenches for it. These are 3/8 inch. And once you get it loose, just take it and set it off to the side. Well, the hitch is really strong. It's much thicker than 1/8 inch. It's probably 3/16. So you need 2 1/2-inch bolts that are 1.25 inches long. And find the hole. And they're carriage bolts, so you only need 1 wrench to tighten them down. Go ahead and put the bolts in, put the nuts on. Don't tighten them down yet, because we'll do this last one. Then take a 1-inch carriage bolt here and line it up. Put it in, put the nut on the back. Once you get the nuts started, then you can go ahead and tighten everything down. I would tighten this one down first, and you will need a socket for that, 9/16 inch socket. Tighten that one down, then tighten these down. So go ahead and do that and talk about the next step. So once you get your 3 bolts in, get them all tightened up, the hitch is installed. Now go ahead and put that shroud back on. So put that back together, and then we'll start on the bagging unit itself. By the way, I found that putting this back together, put these 2 bolts in first, don't tighten them, then put these 2 carriage bolts in. Go ahead and then tighten all 4 of these bolts, then come up and work on this, because the stuff kind of all flexes around a little bit. It's just fenders. There's no structural support there. So once you get this in, then the rest of this will line up a lot easier for you. Alright, one little trick that I used. There's 3 pieces of sheet metal here all trying to come together. And trying to get that all lined up by hand can be hard to do. So I have an electrician's point screwdriver that's just a little bit smaller than the hole, and I use that to in one side to get it all lined up, and then get the screw tightened down in the first hole. So once you get that, then you can use your wrench to put the second screw in, and you're good to go. Alright, so that's it for the hitch install. Now we're going to continue on and do the bagger. We're going to do the bagger assembly and install. So the first step we want to do is we want to replace these 2 bolts on each side with a little bit longer bolt and a flange washer. So when we get done, this flange washer will sit on the inside like so, and the brackets for the bagger will just set right down onto it. So it looks like it's going to be a real simple on and off for the bagger once we get these bolts replaced. Now I suggest that there's 2 bolts here, but I suggest that you do one at a time. That way things won't get messed up, and you'll have a hard time getting all the bolts and stuff, everything back through the hole. And I'll see you once this side is done. Now there is a washer on the original bolt on the outside here. The manual doesn't show that washer being installed, but I went ahead and put that on there anyway. That just helps make everything stronger over the years. So you see the flange bolt here. Now you've got it so there's a groove, and the bracket of the bagger is going to sit down on that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and we'll take it after that. Alright, we got basically 2 more steps. We got to assemble the bagger unit itself and put that on the mower, and then we got to put the front counterbalance weights on the mower. Alright, so the next step is we're going to assemble the bagger, and then we're going to put it on the machine and then adjust it so it comes off on and off the machine easily. So take the bagging hood, and with the 2 pointing up, just set it down here. Take the 3 brackets, and the brackets are aligned, the holes are aligned, so you can't put them on backwards or the wrong way. Take the short carriage bolts, put some nuts on. Don't tighten the nuts all down. Leave them, give it a little play, because we're going to take this and set it on the unit and make for sure everything comes on and off easily, and then we'll tighten all these nuts down. Okay? While I'm here, I really like the way this bagger is put together so far. It's got a full metal frame here around the outside. It's all welded together. It's not bolted. These brackets are really strong. It's not like that old tube bagger that you had on your Craftsman or your Husqvarna. If you had those types of baggers, they always rattle around and break, and over the years crack, and they didn't last long, especially for as much money as you paid for them. This one is built a lot more solid. the plastic is all real thick on it, and there's no flex to the plastic at all. The metal is all real thick, brackets are all real thick, and there's plenty of bolts to hold it all together. So this one I don't think is going to give you any problems for many, many years. I'll show you the tube and the discharge, I'll show you the tube and the discharge in a minute, and you'll see that how well that's made. Alright, so get these put on, leave them a little bit loose, and then we're going to go over and set this on the unit. Okay, in the parts bag there's a spinner knob. We're going to use that to mount to the hitch, mount the back bracket to the hitch. And let me put that in my pocket, and we'll try setting this on here by myself. Take and put the front pieces in. And this is all loose at the moment, so there's a little bit of flex to it. Okay, I got that side in. Let me walk around here, get this side. Okay, that side's in. There, it just sets down. Everything is loose yet. We'll go ahead and open this up. Now it's sitting here. So, I'm going to put this spinner knob on the hitch down there, and then I'm going to go ahead and tighten these 8 bolts. And it'll be ready for the next step. Baggers move a lot of air, and the air has to go somewhere. If your bags are clean, the air will go out the bags, but if your bags are dirty, it just wants to blow air all over the place, make a real mess. So what they do is they put a vent here on the side, and all you have to do is snap this cover in. And there you go. Alright, you could put the bags together right now, but I want to see how this tube and boot are going to fit on here, so let's do this step next. There's a little notch in these, in here, and you take and you turn this counterclockwise, and it rides right up through the grooves. This is smooth on the inside and grooved on the outside, so grass is going to flow through it nice and easy. And you want to keep screwing that until it's pretty much inside the bag, the top unit here. And we can adjust this back down again if we want to later on, if it's too short. Alright, now let's put the boot on. The boot comes pre-assembled, so you don't have to put any straps or bolts or anything on that. Oh, I see. Now I see what I did. Okay, you got to have the discharge all the way up. Once the discharge is all the way up, it slides right on. And there's a bracket there that holds it up so it doesn't bounce around on the side of the boot. And then this strap goes in this hole right here. And I'm gonna have to come around. I'm weak and old and complaining, so I have to come around here and do this. And there, got it. See ya. And then last thing is we put the tube on. So let's go around the back. See about how far I've got that screwed in. That's going to allow the grass to get all the way across the whole bagging system there. All right, what do we got here? There's the slots. Oh, really heavy brackets here. So find the slot and just work that around until you get the bag all the way on it. And there's plenty of room. It's real easy. It goes on really easy. All right, so it's on. You can continue to move this around so that the seam is over here where this the solid piece if you want. I'm not going to do that right now. If you notice, there's a solid side. If you notice, there's a solid side to the bag and then a mesh side. The solid side here, if you put that towards the mower, you won't get near as much dust sitting on the machine. So all the dust is going to blow out behind you. I like that. You don't see that very often. So I'm going to put the other bag together and then we'll work on the front counterweight. Alright, we got one last step to do. We need to put the counterweight on the front of the zero turn. You should have 2 short carriage bolts and 1 carriage bolt about 1.75 inches long. Left, 2 washers, 3 nuts. So we're going to use the 2 short ones, the washers and the nuts to mount the bracket. And then we're going to use the longer bolt to mount the weights to the bracket. And there's 3 weights that go on it. And I would guess each one weighs about 5 pounds. So we need to put that on so that if you go up any slopes at all, the bagger won't tip the mower backwards for you. Okay, let's get that done. Okay, I'm cheating. Instead of laying on the ground, I have this up on the trailer, so that way it's a lot easier for me to do. All right, 1 bolt, 1 washer, 1 nut on each side. And don't tighten the one up until you get the other one in. The hole in the frame is bigger than the bolt and the nut, so that's why you need the washer on it. Go ahead and tighten those up. And they are captive nuts, so once you get them tight, they won't come loose ever again for you. All right, so the carriage bolt goes through the back this way. Let's go ahead and put the weights on and then we'll put the carriage bolt in. The weights, looks like the easy way to put them in is to lift them up on. They do have a hole over here on the side so you can bolt them all together if you want. Make them a little easier to take on and off, I think, over time. Put your carriage bolt in. Everything fits in there real nice. Put your nut on, tighten it down. Alright, everything is nice and tight. Nothing's rattling around here. There looks like there is room to put more weights on. I don't know if you can buy the weights separately. I haven't checked that out. But you'll need to use a longer carriage bolt if you put more weights on here. I don't think there's any reason to. Even with these bags full of green grass, everything should balance out pretty good with having these counterweights on. So that's the last step, and in the next video we'll use it. Everything is nice and compact. Everything is rugged on this. I really like this bagger compared to what we had to put up with 20 years ago. This thing's a really nice, well-built unit. So, alright, we will use this in the next video or so and see how well it bags. Alright, if you like this video, please like it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.